Good afternoon, everyone. My section of the training concentrates on using Henry Connects to come up with your student-centered activities along with some STEAM engagement activities. So in order to get to Henry Connects, I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to click on ClassLink. And from this screen, you are going to see all of the different apps, of course, that everyone has access to. Sorry for this being slow. All right. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to Henry Connects, which is this white icon that says Henry Connect. Now, while this is loading, I'm going to give you guys this disclaimer. CTAE, most of your information is not going to be listed on Henry Connects. You will need to see me separately to ensure that we can get you the right documentation and things that you would need in order to do these assignments. Okay. So by default, it brings me to the screen that has pretty much every class that Henry County has to offer. And for the purposes of this particular exercise, I am going to concentrate on some of the 10th grade classes because those those teachers will be the ones who will be getting trained next on STEAM. So I'm going to go by subject and I am going to pick ELA and I am going to actually look at World Lit and Comp. So like I said, I went to the middle section that says what the different subject areas are. Of course, you can select any of your courses here for the purposes of this. I am selecting ELA and I am selecting language arts. I'm sorry, I'm selecting World Lit and Comp. So click on that. And I'm going to make sure that my academic year is listed on blocks um, so that it's reflective of what um, we teach. And in particular, I'm going to go to the unit that ELA just completed, which was Unit 2. So if I click on View, of course, it gives me the standards that they will be covering, what the unit is all about, additional learning targets, things of that nature, things that your previous PD has kind of gone over. But if you scroll down to the bottom, I think that where some disconnect comes into play is that mostly everyone either stops at the resources listed here, the learning progressions. This is the weekly learning progressions here for block. So if I were to click on that, it opens up a PDF that pretty much is the other, like I said, the learning progressions and what you should be covering from week to week, which standards are already embedded, some different notes, approximately how long these units should last by the week. So this is pretty much where mostly everyone stops. In addition to using the section for your CFA information. So all of your CFAs are located here. However, if you click on the unit plans or the actual HMH resources, that's where you're going to find some of the little nuggets to help with the student engagement. Um, so I'm going to actually show you guys what is in a unit by the week. And this does apply to pretty much all content areas, again, not necessarily CTAE. But it's a more in-depth list of information that you can use to really kind of hone in on some different student engagement ideas. Um, or mini lessons or topics. Of course, the learning targets are definitely here and what the writing focus is, but it does give you some suggested text. Also gives you some suggestions for small group instruction, and it also gives you some different learning activities that you can use within that particular unit. These are student focused and student centered. You can kind of adapt them just a little bit to meet your particular student needs. So this is one area that you can get some of those instructional strategies that Ms. Parks is going to be talking about in the next section. Okay. So those are like I said, those are some two little different little PDFs that you can actually use. But to me, the good stuff is going to be in these HMH resources. Now, I know sometimes the HMH stuff gets a bad rap, but if I click on the unit and I look at these lessons, um, some that stand out to me in this particular unit is creating a media project, creating a PSA. Um, Clicking on the down arrows, you'll see that these are the actual instructions that are in the actual HMH resource book, and then of course there's the teacher edition information. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, well, Ms. Summerlin, why did you pick that particular lesson to kind of show us? Well, when you, as a 10th grade teacher, go through the actual separate STEAM training, you'll notice that I have connected like certain subject areas to other subject areas, like within CTAE or fine arts. This actually falls under if you have some students that you share in common with, let's say, Mr. Moore, the things that they're learning with Mr. Moore in audio visual, those same tasks and instructions and topics and things like that are included in creating a video for a public service announcement. Okay. And that is how we can kind of do that cross curricular instruction. That's how we can kind of differentiate for those kids who may or may not want to do the or are unable to do the lesson that you and your POC have planned out, but some of your ESE students that you may have in your classroom, it might be easier for them to video themselves to show mastery other than actually sitting and getting and just writing out the assignment, if that makes sense. Okay? This is one example, but one that really stood out for me that is in ELA actually happens in Unit 6. Okay? So, like I said, I'm jumping ahead. In Unit 6, they talk about Macbeth. And if I go down to the HMH resources again, oh, did I click on the right one? Yes. And click on the down arrow. No, I did not click on the right one. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. So at some point in time, they get to talking about good old Shakespeare and good old Macbeth. Okay. Lesson 4 literally relates the story of Macbeth to samurais and, of course, one of my favorite things, robots. Right? You might be like, okay, Miss Summer, what are you getting at? Well, think about it. Okay, the samurai um, goes into world lit because they do talk about the different Asian empires. Robots are computer science. Okay? So if I click on that particular lesson and I go to the actual reading and I actually click on, I'm just going to actually go into the actual book itself for the student edition. So if I click on that resource. And sorry for the delay. Okay, trying to scroll, you guys. Come on, scroll. Okay, there we go. So the students are going to be doing some comparison and contrasting here. And if I click on the back button, I'm sorry, the next button, it jumped ahead to the check for understanding. That's not what I wanted it to do. Come on. That one. Okay, here it is. Okay, I clicked too far. So, like I said, this particular lesson compares Shakespeare's Macbeth to Japanese samurai and incorporates robots into the story. All right, so it gives you a little bit of background. And then here is where I think that student engagement is going to come into play. If you really, kind of talk to most of our students and stuff, you'll know a lot of them are interested in anime. So for these students, for some of those students that are interested in it, this might be that buy-in or that hook that you'll hear Ms. Parks mention in the second half of the training, to get them more engaged in the topic that they're learning. The real world experience comes into the form of they are incorporating robots into the lesson. Now we all know Shakespeare was what, 1700s or something like that. My history people, please don't get mad at me. I don't really like that part of world history. Um, there were no robots then. Like the industrial revolution and the things that happened, like the industrial revolution deals with, yes, US history, but just the what is it, the awakening or the enlightening period, or whatever that was, when Galileo and all of that were coming up with to do different scientific discoveries and stuff. Robots was not even on their mind. um and Nostradamus, yeah, he had his own little thing going on. But y'all get what I'm saying. So those of you who are history buffs, Discovery Channel, all that stuff, y'all know what I'm talking about. But for the kids, what they know and what they know now, this is, like I said, this would be the hook to like get them like, oh, why would they correlate those two together? Why would they, how would that play out, like for real, in like the 22nd century, because we all know that we're going to robots. Everybody knows that. So, like I said, this is just an example of something that I thought was really engaging. That if I were one of those kids that don't necessarily want to pay attention in class or do anything remotely schoolwork related, put something like this in front of me, and I may be able to correlate previous things that you as an instructor have taught me to, like I said, a real world experience. So that's just an ELA example. Quickly, I'm going to jump into geometry right quick. Let me close out these other windows here at the top. But I really do encourage you to click on these additional resources here in the purple, and these unit planning documents in green, because there are a lot of good things that you could pull out to get that part of student engagement. By no means am I telling you to recreate the wheel and not use the things that you have done. But if you're noticing that the things that you've done are not moving the instructional needle, or not moving the kids from DOK 1 or 2 to DOK 3 and 4 like we want, these resources are here and they're ready to use and ready to go for you. Okay? All right. That's enough of English. So let me go back to the main page. Let me hit on my good math people because I've been spending a lot of time in math. And in particular, I'm going to click on geometry. Okay. I am going to select circles and volumes, so unit 4 as an example. Again, let me make sure that I'm on block, which I am not. Okay, so again, unit 4, circles and volume. I'm going to scroll down, and of course, here are my HMH resources. Same thing with the unit planning guides, but I'm going to click on these additional resources. Now you'll notice compared to ELA, math has a ton of resources. Okay, um, for this particular one, there's 49 different resources. Some of your best information is going to be located in or reflective with blah blah blah, not reflective, are going to be coming from the state resources. Yes, I know. Ooh, I already know how to use the state resources. But have you really looked at some of the things that you can do that chunk your standards together? Okay. So I am actually, because I like slices, I'm going to click on this particular link, my favorite slice. So when it decides to come up, when I first looked at this particular lesson, and then there's one in algebra that I really like too. No, it's not coming up. It's going real slow. Oh, look at there. They've locked. This is the last time I looked at it, so that is not a good example. I apologize. So let's go back. Let me do pyramids of cones. That was another one that I did. So I hope that's not blocked either. Okay, so I know that it's bringing up a Google Drive resource. And for this particular lesson, I would encourage my geometry teachers to allow me to come in and model a lesson for you where I can teach the kids how to create um, these pyramids and cones using 3D software that they do have access to, and allowing these kids to actually create, like I said, the different um, pyramids and cones, possibly even spears. I know spears is another lesson. Like I said, letting me come in and be teaching your kids how to use a software called Tinker. And what Tinker allows us to do is to create these models in 3D, and then we can take them to the engineering lab, and Mr. Lashley's third level engineering kids could possibly print those out so they can actually see something that they created in real time. Okay, so that's another way that for you to kind of to incorporate another um, subject into your coursework. And this particular lesson is real easy to actually to do in Tinkercad. Okay, so that's Henry Connects. That's the stuff um, that the county doesn't necessarily really give you guys in depth. I think that what they've been doing is giving you guys a brief overview on how to get to stuff, but I don't think that you really have had the time to really delve to deep dive into the different options that you have. This is where your PLC is going to come into play. We and I am encouraging you to, in your PLCs, look at some of those standards that the kids are having issues with or having a problem with understanding, and get with me so I can help you to correlate some of these lessons that are within Henry Connect with the topic that you are going to be teaching. Um, The expectation is for and this is kind of jumping ahead into the separate STEM training. The expectation is going to be for you guys to select at least one unit or one assignment that not only integrates Henry Connects, but integrates with or collaborating with another teacher in another department. Again, that's a separate training that I'll be going over separately within the next week. And if you have any questions or concerns regarding Henry Connects or any of the tools and stuff that I showed you on this video, please feel free to reach out to me because we are here to help. Thank you and have a great and awesome rest of your day.